UFC Fight Night, Gane versus Tuivasa. Quick pick prediction video. Now that a few fights have been moved around, a few fights have been canceled, like switched around and things like that. There's been a lot of crazy things that have happened to this UFC France card, but we have 12 fights on the card. Gane Tuivasa in the main event. Whitaker, Vittori, Kopilov, Deshiriko, Hakuras, Magdesi, Gomez, Aarons, and Jourdain and Nathaniel Wood. For some reason, Nathaniel Wood is on the main card over Nasruddin Imavov, Joaquin Buckley. William Gomez is over Nasruddin Imavov and Joaquin Buckley. I don't know why. Whatever the case may be, let's just get into the quick pick predictions. First fight here in the featherweight division is Stephanie Edgar and Aylin Perez. I do think Stephanie will win the fights. I think she is kind of better everywhere. Aylin Perez, she's a good wrestler, she's a good grappler, has some good ground and pound, and okay submission skills, but not good enough off her back to kind of threaten Stephanie Edgar with that armbar that she most recently lost to with Mayra Bueno Silva. I do think Stephanie Edgar will outstrike her on the feet, beat her on the ground as well, using the judo throws and things like that, and I think Stephanie Edgar comes out with a nice 29-28 decision victory in the featherweight division. Khalid, Christian Quinones, I see it being a striking battle. Maybe one or two takedown attempts and things like that, but I don't really see much wrestling and grappling really being too successful in this fight. Now, Christian Quinones is the more, I would say, technical striker. He's a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, going to be the better counter puncher here. Khalid is going to be the more powerful puncher, looking to close that distance and land some big shots, but I think Christian lands a little bit more volume. Khalid makes it close, landing slightly more powerful shots, and I think Quinones wins the fight by a very close decision as a underdog in that fight. Benoit Santani and Gabriel Miranda. If you watch my confident pick video, you know I feel pretty good about Benoit Santani. I believe he's the better striker here. I believe he's the better wrestler. And jiu-jitsu is pretty even. Gabriel Miranda only really has the jiu-jitsu threat, the submission threat, and things like that. Most of his wins are by submission, but I don't think he submits Benoit. I think Benoit will beat him on the feet, mix in some takedowns at the end of the rounds, and win a 30-27 unanimous decision. For the middleweight division now, Nasruddin Imavov and Joaquin Buckley. I think Buckley will make this close. Buckley will go out there round number one and make this a very interesting fight, laying some big shots, maybe even rock Imavov in round number one. He's going to look good. His takedown defense usually is pretty good for how explosive he is early on in the fights. Round two, round three, that's where I think Imavov will come back. Win round two and round three with the wrestling, with the elbows, with the knees in the clinch and things like that, the ground and pound. And I think he wins both of those rounds and possibly gets a finish in round number three. So round three, TKO for Imavov or a nice 29-28 decision. Then we got Perez and Michael Figlack. Pretty close fight here. Perez, good striker at range, got some good jabs, good 1-2s. Kicking game is pretty solid as well. So is Michael Figlack, but I don't think it's nearly as good as Perez right there. But Figlack is a little bit more of a harder hitter than Perez. Plus, Figlack could mix in the wrestling, the takedowns, and things like that, and mix in that type of stuff as well. So I think it'll be close. The judges will have this as a pretty close, 29-28 decision on the judges. But I'm going to go Figlack by a decision. Then we got Dustin Stoltzfus and Abu Sufyan Magomedov. In the middleweight division, I got Abu Sufyan winning this fight. Wrestling and grappling is always going to be pretty even with these type of guys. Coming off some Kimura submission win, a guillotine choke submission win. So I think Abu Sufyan will land a takedown or two. But, the amount of guys Dustin has been fighting recently that have had good wrestling and grappling, he should be able to defend most of these takedowns. And I see it being a striking battle where Abu Sufyan has the advantage. I'll go Abu Sufyan by a decision. And we got Charles Jourdain and Nathaniel Wood, if it's going to let me press it. Not too sure why it's not. I got Charles Jourdain winning this one. I think he's the more powerful striker. He's going to put on that pressure on Nathaniel Wood. Plus, he's a little bit bigger. Nathaniel Wood is a bantamweight moving up a weight class. Jourdain is a little bit taller than him, and he was able to get a super, super huge Shane Burgos to go to a decision and be a very, very close fight that could have gone either way on the scorecard. So I think Jourdain goes out there, puts on some heavy pressure on Wood. Wood will attempt some takedowns, but I think Jourdain will land a big shots, later on in this fight, round number 2, and get that TKO. Then we got William Gomes and Jarno Aarons. I think William Gomes wins this one. He's the better counter puncher. Jarno is really not really the best puncher. He's got some decent power in his hands, but I think he's going to walk into a lot of counters here from William Gomes and get picked apart on the outside. And even if Jarno can land some takedowns, William does have the threats of the submission on the ground, so I think this should be mainly a striking battle where William does have the advantage. 29-28 decision. Hakuras versus Magdesi. This one's weird because John Magdesi just came off a win on Ignacio Bahamondes, so he's legit, but he's not as tall, he's not as lengthy as Nasrat Hakuras, not as fast, not as powerful. So I think he'll make it close. It'll look pretty close in terms of the statistics on the fight, on the strikes landed and things like that, but Nasrat will land the harder, more meaningful shots to win the fight on the judges' scorecard. Alessio the Shiriko, Romana Kopilov. I think the boxing's pretty even. Romana has a little bit more pop in his punches and things like that. But I think Alessio will land some leg kicks, some body kicks, some head kicks, and things like that to make it a little bit more narrow on the judges' scorecards. And I think the kicking game is what's going to allow him to win the fight on the judges' scorecards. Just going to be a few extra kicks here and there that'll help him land a little bit more strikes that the judges will be like, all right, that's enough for Alessio to get the win on these scorecards. Whitaker versus Vittori. Again, I don't think Marvin takes Whitaker down. I don't think Whitaker takes Vittori down. 3 rounds of striking. Who's the better striker? It's obviously Robert Whitaker. Robert by unanimous decision. Sadil versus Tuivasa. Round 1 will be interesting because Cyril will try to find that range, not get knocked out by Ty. Bam bam. Tuivasa, you know what I'm saying? He does not want to go to sleep in France in his own crowd. He definitely does not want that to happen. But I think he picks apart Ty in round 1 and in round 2, staying away from the power punches. Mixes in the wrestling and grappling in round 3 and in round 4, and he gets a submission in one of those 2 rounds. So I got Cyril gone by a submission. Whitaker decision, Alessio the Shiriko decision, Hakuras decision, Gomes decision, Charles Jourdain TKO. If one of these is going to be a finish, probably Alessio the Shiriko and possibly William Gomes, but I see most of these ones right here go into a decision. Abusupian by decision, although he's live for the submission, definitely, as Stolzfus was able to let GM3 Mershart come back in round number 3. I got Figlack decision, Imavov round 3 TKO or decision, Benoit 30-27 decision, Quinones decision, and Edgar decision. Although Edgar is very live for a TKO, Benoit is very live for a TKO, Imavov very live for a TKO, Abusupian very live for a TKO, Gomes very live for a submission, Chirico very live for a knockout. So a lot of the fights I'm predicting decision could very well be knockouts. But thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Put your predictions down below. Make sure to like the video. Let's try to get this one to 100 likes. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.